Hi again everyone, and welcome back to Stardew Valley, a one-to-one-ish recreation of Stardew Valley in Planet Zoo. We're well over the halfway point now, as I have now finally put together the town itself, by far the most building-intense sequence in the entire game. Last time I was able to fill in 4 entire screens in the space of a week. This time I spent an entire week just getting the first building created. Not all areas are created equal. You may have noticed that our glamour shots are now using the basic camera instead of cinematic mode, and that is simply because we have now hit the point of lag that said mode is basically unusable regardless of which way we're facing. This is a shame to have happened at all because I hate having all of my "your animals are dying" in their own filth notifications visible when I'm just trying to show off how nice everything looks, but on the plus side we should be close to the end of this now, given the speed in which the more barren regions can be completed. As for this one, as it was such a complex zone, I took my gridding to a whole new level, completely pathing out my footprints of the whole region. This wasn't really necessary, but it did have a Zen jigsaw puzzle-like quality while doing it, and I think it looks pretty neat as a visual. It's almost a shame to have to build over it all. But shame be damned, we're committed at this point. So building began with the hospital and Pierre's shop. I went off grid with this almost immediately in order to get the doctor's clinic door in the right spot, which I thought might cause some problems, but given Pierre's is made entirely out of individual planks, it didn't actually come back to bite me at all. I don't know if I've mentioned it so far, but it's absolutely insane that Planet Zoo doesn't have a horizontal weatherboard wall piece. This is one of the most common house designs in the entire world, but our only planked walls are vertical. So every single time the game uses this, again, most basic type of house construction in the entire world, I need to build it one plank at a time. Thankfully Stardew only has 3 of these in the town, provided I keep Pam and Penny living in the trailer, but god damn it you guys. Both functionally and aesthetically, I really like how this one came out. The only issue being the planks are rendered differently at range, so unless we're up nice and close, it collapses into a ghost house in the distance. Surprisingly, a vet clinic fits inside the doctor's office, and while Pierre's is probably the most insane TARDIS in the entire game, it fits in the entire set of guest needs very easily. Seriously, look at this. The building is like 5 blocks wide, and the door is on the right-hand side, but when you go inside, there's, no joke, an entire yoga studio sitting there on the side. Absolute clown stuff. What a terrible game. 2 out of 10. Next up, I decided to get some people in, so I've chucked in a habitat. I didn't even need to build a new fence type since there's a picket fence in the game already, so that was easy. The main thing here is that I've needed to expand it into a walkthrough exhibit to give guests access to the back of the riverside houses, because I've got some plans for those. I've given myself permission to add a little bit to these houses up the front. The houses themselves are pretty basic, but I decided that given we're in a town, it'd be neat to have creatures crawling over the houses and digging through trash. In Australia, this would be possums, but Planet Zoo doesn't have those, so I think raccoons serve the same purpose. Obviously, the downside to this is that I need the houses to be climbable. So I've added some ropes and some climbing beams and so forth to get our little critters out and about and seeing the world. I had thought there'd be massive issues with them escaping the habitat, but nope, apparently these tiny pre-built picket fences can hold in creatures that can jump out of a 3-meter tall regular fence. Instead, my only issue is with the critters themselves, who don't like climbing as much as I'd like them to, and can get stuck when doing full roof crossings. What are you doing? Why are you turning around? After that, I was able to rush through the next few houses as they don't really serve any purpose. The mayor's house was actually a giant pain to produce since it's so big. I rebuilt the layout 4 separate times as I kept trying to resize things so it's not too tall or too wide while also keeping the pitch suitably steep. It really was a pain. Why is your house so big, Mayor? What are you doing with all that rate money? Is this why I have to rebuild all your damn bridges? My caravan is not amazing, but it is something different from doing houses all the time, and more importantly, the upgraded house version is another weatherboard house.
Oh, dude, here's another one! Oh, come on, man!
And I'm avoiding that any chance I can get. The last house is admittedly pretty sloppy, but who cares about this place? I don't even remember who lives there. The football nerd? Who cares about that guy? All that animal-less busy work was in service of my final building for the main town portion, because again, I have plans. The final building of town is of course the tavern, which I've decided would be neat to turn into a restaurant, and I wanted to know how much room I had left for seating. As a quick aside, if the main store was the biggest TARDIS in town, the tavern may be the most bafflingly stupid one. This place is narrower than the caravan, which is insane enough, but that's just the outside, which you may notice has its door on the right-hand side, but once you pop in the door, however, we're on the left, and there's a bar, a dance floor, and a pool hall in here, largely all to the right-hand side. Embarrassing stuff. Possibly the worst game ever made, 1 out of 10. Anywho, I put foxes in here, since they're also the type of creature you'll find rummaging through trash in town. The seats in the doghouse area are linked and are within range, but they just seem to fill in a lot slower than the booths around the back. Oh well, it's the thought that counts. With the main body of town done, I moved over to the river system. With these parts being much wider than the log bridges back in the forest, I was able to more or less hide my water body separations with solid ground, making it much easier to keep the ground flat. I did use the old, shallower water height mark as well, just because that felt more realistic for a river that runs through town. Beyond just being annoying to make because of rock work, this did reveal to me an issue I wasn't expecting to have. I'm running out of semi-aquatic animals. There's only 3 in here, 2 kinds of otter that I was always going to use, and full-blown hippos, which does feel silly and oversized for the middle of a town, but I'm basically out of options. I've still got beavers up my sleeve, but I want to use them elsewhere, and that's kinda it. If I had the European DLC, I could have swans, I guess, but really everything that's left that likes to swim is either a giant vicious lizard or lives in the ocean. It never really occurred to me that I'd run out of this type of thing, but there really aren't that many aquatic mammals in the world. I'm thinking our mountain lake is going to be filled with crocodilians, sadly. Other than that, I think it looks quite nice. I think the blue looks good against the town, and I like that the hippos can go under this bridge. And yeah, it's a river. There's not much else to say about it. With that done, the right side of town was my next target. Mostly to get myself a new entrance point and sort out what I'm going to do with the train. The train itself has an unreasonably large turning circle, so the actual station has to sit out in the middle of nowhere a bit, and then the track's turning circle itself is so wide it still requires a second gap in the fence. It's not remotely correct, but what can you do? This area in particular suffers from me not having the spare frames to use the extra grass detailing. I've tried to add some little nettles and stuff to keep it from being just a big green square, but nothing compares to 8,000 pieces of buffalo grass. I definitely took the easy route here by not working many animals through the zone. The Joja Mart is definitely big enough to have been utilised for something particularly with the loading bay area attached, but instead I just let that be food and drinks and wash my hands of it. The museum has this weird-ass divot thing which is really hard to comprehend, and because of it I lost a heap of interior space to hide things, so it's basically just a guest spawner now. I had wanted to hide more of my exhibit animals in here, but they just don't fit. The only other curveball here is... What the hell is this? I have never, ever seen this hot air balloon in 2.5 playthroughs of Stardew. Apparently it's a bookseller, which explains why I never bothered checking it out, but yeah, this is totally new to me. My balloon is absolutely horrible. But basically, I chucked it together in 10 minutes before I had to go away for the weekend, and when I saw it when reloading back up, I laughed so hard that I choked. So now I'm attached to it, and I'm not going to do it properly. I could do it better, but who cares about this bookseller I've never seen before anyway? Which leads us to today's final zone, the upper area. I did mangle the front portion of the landscaping here since things are a little non-Euclidean with the lazy slope work up here, but it's so minor that you may not have even noticed if I didn't bring it up, like an idiot. With the community centre, I've given access to the roof again since I wanted this tiny little garden to feature a usable bench. Complain about me adding a ladder up to the roof as much as you like, this knee-height picket fence being able to contain goddamn monkeys is the most reality-defying move I've seen in the whole park. The playground here was shockingly enough not a problem. I made some playgrounds in the past when building my local real-life zoo, and they were heinous. But Concerned Ape slacked off and made this thing a total breeze. Admittedly, my slide is covered instead of open because otherwise it would need to be made out of wood or concrete, but nothing here is remotely as annoying as this horrible rope thing I had to make a few years ago. And that's basically it. I could show you every little paddock I filled up with stuff, but you could get that just from looking at the glamour shots. Despite us only being about halfway done with the total map space, I think we're actually only 2 episodes from finishing this off now. I'm confident that the desert and train station will fit in one, and while the mountaintop and beach are geographically large, not to mention come with massive expanses of fill-up space between the routes, they only have 4 buildings between them, so I don't think it'll take that long. And I really hope I'm right with this, because I really don't need this thing running any longer. I'm just going to show you a real-time recording of my computer trying to release some monkeys here, which had to be done on my phone for some extremely obvious reasons. I'm done, my computer's done, let's finish this. So I'll see you next time for either of those and the entire eastern and middle portions of the map, or just the top right corner if I have a miserable time. Thanks for watching, and apologies for the frame rate.